Just made history being the first Bangladeshi MMA world champion, and I hope that I can make history by being the first one in the UFC as well. And I really think that can inspire an entire nation to take on the sport and for it to help it grow in Bangladesh a lot faster.
A bit further away, you can feint the jab on the step one, but it's boom, yeah, and then left hook from there. If they're close to you, boom, left hook that way. If they're a bit further, if you took a step back, then you step in with it, guys, with the left hook. So it's cross hook, boom, boom. Got the drill, guys? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, let's go. Do a little straighter step before you look and see you can't get the angle properly. So when you're there, do the straighter step and then bang, bang. And you'll find yourself getting the outside angle that bit more. So just move that way, and then when you're ready, you go one step and then you start your combination. So you take a step first and you disguise it. Don't even jump, literally just walk, step, step. That's all it is. It's just a little, then do it. So take a little shimmy and then, yeah, and then it's just crossing forward, I think it.
Striking combinations, particularly combinations that Shaj recently just was practiced for his fight, so we're going through it with everybody. Specifically going through, if it's a southpaw, just showing them how to just adapt it for themselves. But yeah, combinations specifically designed for MMA.
How you been spending this last week since getting back from London?
Oh, it's been hectic. Like my phone has not stopped like since the fight. I'm getting like 10 notifications a minute, but it's great. The support's been unreal. So I've just been riding it. I've learned you've got to enjoy these moments while you have them because they don't last. So I've done that before where I've had big wins and I've just kind of gone quiet with it. So I'm just enjoying it. I'm not really doing anything specific. I'm just look, the gym's buzzing. I'm just enjoying the moment while everything's happening.
Only Thursday and you're obviously back in the gym already.
Yeah,
training
still. It's well, the mad thing is like the gym. It's my work, my hobby, and my profession all in the same place. It's just, and so I love being here. I've got all my friends here. I also work here, so it's just like there's nothing better than just loving what you do. So to me, it's not like a matter of taking time away from the gym. I always want to be back here as soon as I can from everything. So I'm just straight back and I'm just enjoying training now. I think I've been so focused on myself. So I enjoy coaching now. I've been so focused on myself lately, and I haven't been able to give as much time to my fighters. So it's a bit more. So I'm looking forward to just coaching a bit more for a little bit now.
How have you been celebrating when you've not been here?
Eating too much fried food. I'm sure I've had like a burger and chips almost like every day so far. Still running to get myself a pommel. That's next on the menu. But yeah, just been chilling out, spending some time with the wife and the kids and the child. And yeah, just taking it easy for a bit.
Two are going to go first, and the others are going to go after that. Yeah, so for example, like really you'll be doing with the fighters, or if anybody else that has fought or is about to fight, that kind of level, you're going, you're group 1, everybody else group 2. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah. This one, your group, go this one, group 1. You see this one, you see this one.
Most experience, yeah?
I know.
The mindset we have is that everybody kind of helps everybody get better. I don't care what level people are at. A new person here is like a future training partner. Some of these lads that helped me out now a few years ago, they were just like new guys. So we have that kind of mindset where everybody kind of helps everybody out. And if you don't have that mindset, it doesn't kind of work in here really. So that's why I always have it. You'll see all the time the more advanced guys are always going to help out some of the newer guys. And we always make sure like the newer guys feel comfortable so that as they get better, they feel like they want to be a more part of the team and they want to, they feel like, sorry, I phrased that wrong. We're trying to make there's no like real hierarchy in the sense that like someone's a fighter so they get better treatment than the other person. If we say, if you're new to the gym, you're just as important as anybody else in here. And I try to kind of instill that with my fighters, and so you'll see they'll always like when they get a chance they'll jump in around and help some of the new guys out, and everyone gives that a little bit of time, because I always tell them you never know who's going to be your future training partner and who might be helping you out, for your big fights.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of mindset I like to kind of instill in here.
First Thursday session after the New Year pack session. That's what I want to say as we're going forward, guys. Those that are fighting on the brinks of fighting, there's loads of shows coming up. I'll be getting you guys matched. I'll be speaking to you guys individually. Those that are just starting off, give yourself a goal. What do you want to achieve? The monthly pass will stay the same. But yeah, so solid session today, guys. Cheers.
Taking it back right to the beginning, mate, how did you get started training MMA?
I started, it was just like a bit of kickboxing. It was more like a youth club. I just kind of started training a youth club, and then just did it as more of a hobby when I was at school. More, I think, I'd say the self-defense side of it kept me involved. I was quite small for my age in school, so I just trained just to kind of learn a bit of self-defense. Started enjoying it. Just do it like once a week, and just kept doing it, and then all of a sudden I was just getting good, and then naturally when you get a bit good you think actually I want to try a competition. So I think I trained about a year before I had my first competition. I think it was a open mat kickboxing tournaments, and I won my first one, and I think just the buzz of winning, I just got addicted and then I was like, I can't wait for the next, and it just went from there. Eventually became an MMA. From kickboxing, got some grappling coaches in sometimes, and then we started learning some grappling, and then just gradually transitioned down the road.
So was that for a friend or family that sort of introduced you, or how did you learn about it?
Yeah, it was my brother, Sham. So he was a little bit older than me, so and he knew the youth worker, and then and he kind of just said, oh, they do this martial arts session, and anyone's out to come. I just remember that day. I wasn't even planning on coming. He was just going there. He was going there, and I asked him where's he going. Then he said that it was just a little martial arts thing. I just said, can I tag along? And he was like, yeah, why not? And I just tagged along. And I just loved the idea of learning martial arts, because I've always loved like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and things like that. Just to watch Power Rangers when I was young, and so I just started doing it. And it was just something I enjoyed, and then just one thing kind of led to another.
That's the lad that was taking the session this evening, your brother?
Yes, that's my brother there, yeah, so that's Sham. He's also, he's a pro fighter, he's not fighting actively anymore. But yeah, we should be training partners, obviously when we first trained. Now he's my coach, and he helps me out with all my training camps and everything. And I kind of follow a lot of his advice. I think I've learned a lot from his career as well, things that he did well and didn't do so well, and I kind of improved on my career, and I think it's helped me get to where I am.
From there, throughout your career, how have you developed your own fast-paced style?
Yeah, I think it's interesting how that came, because obviously naturally when you're young you kind of copy what you know. So I watched things like Muhammad Ali a lot when I was young, Prince Nassim. So naturally when you're young you try to move like who you see on the TV. So I've always liked the idea of moving around, and then I've learned from lots of different coaches. So I learned boxing from Mick McVeigh, and he's a fantastic coach, and he taught me the fundamentals. And then I also met other coaches through my journey, and they just kind of showed me little bits and bobs. And because I've always just loved martial arts, I've always kind of took it on myself to kind of practice on my own. Me, Ubi, and a few other guys, my brother, we used to always just do pads in the park and things like that when we were young, just to come up with different things and try and experiment with stuff, sparring. And just over time, I think I just kind of just started developing that that movement style, and I started getting success with it in terms of just being able to hit and move and not get hit. I was quite good at doing that first, and then it was strange actually. In my amateur fight, I actually got dropped for the first time when I was about 18. I was against Brent Crowley, and I totally lost my confidence in my striking for a while. And then I became a little bit of a grinder and a wrestler. And if you look at a lot of my amateur fights, I grinded and wrestled all the way through, because then I realised I was actually quite good at it, at the grinding side of things and wrestling. And I did that. If you watch some of my early pro fights, until I fought Paul Marin, and he just threw me around where that didn't work anymore. So I fought a wrestler who was better than me at wrestling, and it just kind of, after you lose like that, let's say, what do? He beat me at what I thought I was the best at, and then I just had this moment when I came out, I was like, I need to start striking again, and it's what I used to love. And then I started just striking, and it was more so I was frustrated with myself, so I just started striking with my hands lower. It sounds silly, because I almost wanted to get hit. It was just I was very frustrated. I had this time where I was very frustrated, and then as I started doing that, I started realising people actually find it quite hard to hit me when my hands are lower, right? Because I was able to move my head better, because when you have a lower guard, you're able to move your head better. And then just from that, I just had this moment where I was like, oh right, you know what it is, being loose and just like less tight. I used to fight like this. It's actually better to loosen up more and have a more of a relaxed guard. And then I kind of just started experimenting with that stuff, and then I kind of like started devising like my own kind of like pattern of movement over time. And I think it was just training and just finding what works and what doesn't. And I always analyze myself before and after sessions, and things that work I make notes. If you look at my notes, I've got a long list of notes of things that I've learned over time, things that I spar with and that work and don't work. And it's just kind of from there I've just kind of developed my own kind of movement pattern through it.
You mentioned a couple of them then, but which are your favourite fighters to watch?
So yeah, going back to it, so I used to love watching Dominic Cruz. So as you can probably tell, and I think that also kind of added on to, I watched a few like breakdown studies of him and how he was so good at being with like the so like elusive and and the way he used to move. I used to always say he was ahead of the game, because back then a lot of fighters were very Thai boxing orientated striking, and he was one of the first guys that I'd seen that just totally went against that, and he was moving a lot more in the way he would fight, and I was just so interested in that, and I used to say he's ahead of the game, so I used to copy him like from way back, and I think he was right. I think that his way of moving, I mean the guys don't move like him, but that more light on your feet kind of moving and looking for openings, I think that's become a much more like popular thing now with all the best strikers. So he was. I used to also love like Anderson Silva, just because Anderson Silva's cool as out. George St. Pierre. I used to like Frankie Edgar as well. Again, I think he's one of them because I felt like I could relate to him. Smaller guy, moves quite well as when he fights. So Frankie Edgar was one that I studied a lot. So I'd say Frankie Edgar and Dominic Cruz were the main guys I studied. But I used to just love guys like Anderson Silva. I think just to see some knockouts.
How did it feel winning the Cage Warriors world title last weekend?
It felt great. It was a very strange. Like you seen the way after the fight, my emotions were all over the place. It was one of those, because I believed I should have had this shot a long time ago. So it was almost like just proving. I believed I could do it. I just had to prove that I can do it to everybody else. I think everybody else needed to see me with the belt to believe that I'm at the level that I'm at. But I've believed I'm at this level for a long time. I've believed that I beat Sam Creasy before, and I believe I was getting better then. But I just never got my opportunity, so it was like frustration at the same time. And then I think just winning that, it was just proving. Obviously, I got to prove it to the world, and also just have my moment. I felt like I needed that moment. I felt like I deserved that for 5 years ago. So I think it was just like a bit of a surreal kind of moment. I was like, I've actually just done it. Yeah, it kind of just hit me afterwards. I walked around after I dropped him, and then I was just like, I've done it. I've actually, all this time I've been, this year has been a tough year. So I was at I'd say one of the lowest points of my career in 2017. It was just after I fought Sam Creasy before. And then I kind of had a lot of things happen in my personal life. I lost my little sister. And I had a lot of problems with the gym as well. I nearly lost my gym. A lot of training partners and people left, and I was just kind of and then I lost them fights in Russia. And I started really losing belief in them. When I did try to come back, I fought Jake Hadley, and then I got knocked out for the first time. Finished for the first time in my career. It was a tough camp in lockdown, and then I was just talking to my coaches that maybe I don't have it in me anymore. And they kind of just helped me get that belief back. They were like, no, it'd be a shame if you give it up now. You just need to fix some of your mistakes. And I had a good talk with them, and they kind of gave me my self-belief that I needed back. And then they were all like, right, let's do it. I kind of come up with a plan, and that I'm gonna keep myself fit. I started working with Terrence Boston, who's like a fantastic S&C coach, probably the best wrestler in the Northeast, I'd say. And he's really helped me improve my conditioning, my nutrition, and that made a big difference. And then I started fighting, started planning my training a lot more seriously, breaking everything down, not taking any fight lightly ever again. I said that to myself. I will never take a fight lightly ever again. I'll train every fight like it's the biggest fight of my life, and I think that's what's kind of shown. And so when I won that fight with Sam, that was just the kind of thing, that kind of that moment where I was like, it was worth it. All that I did, it was worth it, and I got back to where I wanted to get to.
What was your game plan going into the fight?
So the game plan, I'd say for this one, it was to kind of and knowing that he's going to be strong in the first round. Pretty much with every fight, I don't think it's different. Most guys are a bit stronger than him in the first round.
it was knowing that I thought that he was going to come and try to maybe finish me in the first or second round. I think I knew that he wasn't planning on winning a decision, because I think he knew that if it went to the distance, there's a bigger chance I'll win. So I kind of had that plan that I'm going to try to get a pace going that he's going to fatigue more than me, and then by round, aim was by round 2, but if not by round 3, definitely I'll be able to put a pace on him that he won't be able to keep up with. So that was kind of the plan, and then to take whatever opportunity is there when it's there. So like if I see an opportunity to like take his back and rear naked choke him, I'd do that. If I see an opportunity to knock him out, I would take it. I would just kind of build up to that though. The plan was to start looking for that from the 3rd, 4th and 5th round, which is kind of what I did do. He did kind of surprise me a little bit though. The way you can tell he thought about pacing himself better, because in the first 2 rounds I couldn't kind of get him to work more than I would have liked to. I felt like I was having to do a lot of the work and I couldn't get him to work as much, and he was catching me a few times when I was trying to like put pressure on him. Well, last time I fought him, he was struggling to catch me. I was able to put him under pressure without him able to catch me. So it was pretty interesting, but it did go kind of how I trained for it overall. I did kind of train for that. The knockout came earlier than I would have thought it would have.
You were knocked down in the 1st and 3rd round. How hurt were you when that happened? Were you okay?
I wasn't too hurt. I wasn't dizzy at all. The first one, the both of them really. It was more the canvas in there was a little bit slippier than I kind of anticipated. So my footing didn't feel as good. So I felt a little bit more slippy as I was doing stuff. So when I stepped in and he hit me, it was more. I didn't have as much ground tension, so I fell with it. He did hit me. I'm not going to say he didn't land. He hit me, but that's why I bounced straight back up, because it was more like he just kind of took my foot off a little bit. I couldn't get that. I didn't have that. Like my foot was grounded, so I wasn't like rocked or nothing like that. It hit me. It was just a decent shot. I feel like in another cage that probably wouldn't have knocked me down. It probably would have stumbled me backwards. But it is what it is.
How high is your self-belief now that you've won the Cage Warriors World title, and what's next for you?
Yeah, it's where I feel like it should have been back then. Yeah, so I've picked myself back up to believe I should be in the UFC. After I beat Sam Queasy last time, I thought I'm ready for the UFC, and then everything happened, and then obviously, after 2020, I kind of wasn't sure, and then once I got that self-belief back and I had them wins, that's basically I'm back to where I was. I feel young. I feel like I don't feel like that I'm. Some people are like, oh, you're a bit of a veteran. I was like, no, I feel young. I feel I've got years left. I haven't took that much damage in fights, and I feel like this is me at my best, and I'm ready for the UFC. I've literally beat all the guys that I need to beat. There's no one else to really prove myself to outside the UFC. The guys that have beat me are all in the UFC. So the only way for me to really climb and do anything is to fight in the UFC. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I really hope that I get that opportunity. I've just made history being the first Bangladeshi MMA world champion, and I hope that I can make history by being the first one in the UFC as well. And I really think that can inspire an entire nation to take on the sport and for it to help it grow in Bangladesh a lot faster.